joined by Cooney.
Alright, mate. Do that again.
They're sat in a dressing room.
What noise did you make?
Oh, alright, man. See, this is why you're perfect with us, because you're like bright and shiny. I'm like, alright.
Today we're going to answer some questions that you asked us on Instagram. You ready?
Yeah.
Favourite thing about working with the RSC?
Working with Amy Trigg.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it! Ah, stop it!
Best thing about working for the RSC, besides working with Amy Trigg, working on some really great plays, like Measure for Measure, where you just go, oh, this was written 400 years ago, and yet can still completely apply today.
I feel like I've done an MA.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like I've learned and absorbed so much. And I do think it's, I know we joke, but it is to do with the people that you're working with.
I do, man.
They get a good group together, don't they?
Yeah, it feels like I get energy from other people.
He does a weird hand movement. Amy looks at the camera.
What did you do?
I was trying to be really sincere there.
What's the difference between performing at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre and the Barbican?
The thrust is obviously the biggest change. I think that not having people on the sides, I kind of miss that, if I'm being honest with you.
I miss it.
I miss having been able to like share it around on three sides, and you just feel like much closer to people. But the Barbican's actually not kind of as big as you think it's going to be when you first walk in.
Doesn't it feel brilliant to work for a company that represents the greatest writer of all time?
Ooh, yeah, that's...
Big statement.
Big statement, but I mean, it could be very true. I mean, Michael Patrick might have something to say about that.
Michael Patrick would have something to say about that.
Michael Patrick would be like...
Cooney points at himself.
Being serious. Now that there are times when I'm trying to write, I go, oh, you basically laid those foundations of what makes a good story. Or at least, he didn't lay them, he expanded on them. They were definitely laid beforehand, and all the writers of his generation were clearly trying to, you know, push the form. Yeah. But it is amazing to me that 400 years on, after he wrote them, we still feel the need to tell them, because they're that good.
Does the RSC hold auditions for actors to join the company, or do they send briefs to agents? How did you become a member?
I first auditioned for the RSC like basically a year before I then auditioned for the season that I got in. So I auditioned originally for the season which had Volpone, Jew of Malta and Love Sacrifice.
I didn't know that.
Which Justin was directing one of those. I think it was the Jew of Malta.
Jew of Malta.
I guess the RSC casting department had seen me in some stuff before that. I did a Hamlet at the Watermill that was like that did schools and stuff, which Justin directed.
Amy smiles at the camera.
And then I think, what?
He's all over the place.
He's all over the place, it's Justin. They also saw a show that I did called Bottleneck. I'd written to them a few times, so it was like, I guess they'd seen me like build up some credits over a few years, then brought me in to audition for what was Justin's Jew of Malta in that season. I didn't get that job, and then the year later I auditioned again for the 2016 season, which I then did get.
Amy puts her hands up in celebration.
Rest of history, innit? They used to do like general auditions, didn't they? I don't know if they still do. So for yeah, I think I know that there was an actor in the Swan Company who he'd had like a general audition with the RSC a few years ago, and then was brought in to the Swan Company for that. So I think it is on a show by show season basis usually, but sometimes they do have general auditions. But that was how I came to the company for the first time.
Theatre or cinema, bearing in mind that the new Star Wars is coming out soon, and that's actually what it says. I didn't add that bit on.
No way!
No.
Whoever asked that, well done. I've only had a little bit of experience of performing when it comes to like TV and film. I much prefer performing on stage, but cinema. I must say, like, I'm a big lover of cinema. I'm a big lover of film. Me and my mates, I know for a fact, like my mates from home, my best mates.
Amy looks hurt.
What feels like such a dagger in the heart? One day, Cooney, one day.
Like, we're massive film buffs, like we love films. Like, we're already trying to put together our top 10 of the decade for when we meet up on Christmas Eve. Don't get me wrong, I've also been to some theatre shows and been like, that's a bit life-changing.
At the theatre?
At the theatre,
oh yeah, 100%. Hedwig and the Angry Inch, watching that on stage for the first time, it changed me, Cooney, it changed me.
Have you seen that musical, have you?
A couple of times.
Cooney mouths, she talks about it all the time.
Do you find shows tiring, or does the adrenaline get you through? If I go into Shrew and I'm really tired, by the end of it I'm pumped.
Yeah, right.
Because it's such an energetic show.
Yeah.
It's slightly different for Measure, for me.
It is, yeah. I find I do find Measure quite draining, because it's more draining, like, emotionally. emotionally. But then, you know, when you have like press nights or you have friends in, I always feel like after that I feel quite like pumped.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
And also like our schedule is sometimes quite intense. Like we had a few weeks recently, didn't we, where we were rehearsing understudy stuff during the day and then coming in and doing the shows, and that was just after we'd opened all 3 shows. So that was pretty tiring.
Yeah.
I tried doing some vlogging around then, and I look back at the clips and everyone's just sat there looking like zombies. I saw Shrew in Stratford and it was amazing. What's your favourite part of the show?
Ooh, just like probably the beginning, probably the opening prologue. Yeah.
How does the prologue feel for you, James Cooney?
It does feel a little bit like I'm like Beyonce or something like that, leading my crew out behind me.
I feel really powerful in the prologue.
Yeah,
that's my favourite. Or the end. I love watching Joe Arkley in his final monologue.
Yeah. So basically, just come and see the first few minutes and the last few minutes.
Go and get a drink. Go and get a snack. What is your favourite Shakespeare play, or top 3, since there are so many to choose from?
Oh, that is so hard. I do think Hamlet is probably one of my favourite plays.
I like Othello.
Yeah, I was just going to say
like
Othello, mainly because I would also just love to play Iago. Like, Iago is such a great character.
I didn't know Measure for Measure before this season, before I auditioned for it.
Yeah.
And I love Measure for Measure now. I think the text is beautiful.
Very good play. I think there's always that part of me that, like when I was 16, I remember seeing Henry V at the Royal Exchange.
And you were like...
And being like, that'd be cool. Just be like a soldier and all that kind of thing.
And then you became an actor. Have you got any drama school audition advice? I've got my Royal Welsh soon. That's from Patrick.
Okay. There's so much advice.
I would say prepare.
Yeah. But also don't over-prepare, weirdly.
I think I'm an over-preparer.
Yeah,
I get it.
But I think that, you know, also you have to be ready to like play and change things up, and if they ask that. But I think the main thing is to remember that they actually want you to be really good. Like any audition, the team behind it aren't trying to trip you up. They're actually going, I hope that we find someone who we are desperate to give this place to. Don't do what I did.
Well, what did you do?
I prepared, because you had to do a song at Liver. I prepared Maria from West Side Story.
Bold choice.
You've heard my singing voice, Trigg. It's alright.
You've got a good singing
voice. It's fine, but there's a limited range in there, right?
Oh.
So to be hitting the or that
in the morning.
Yeah. It was in the morning, and I do remember, like we had to do it again in the afternoon, I think, and just show a bit of it. And the guy who ended up being one of my lecturers, who like I'll always be very grateful for, was like playing it. We played it, and I did the whole like the bit Maria, that bit, no. And he played it, waited for me to like get to the rubbish bit, and then went, ha ha! And I was like, oh, there you go.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
look,
that's
I was determined to act through it, and I think that's probably what got me the place there. But man, I should not have prepared a song that I couldn't sing.
But that's quite good advice.
Yeah.
I know quite a lot of people who go into drama school auditions and they think the singing round is separate to the acting round, but actually it's acting throughout.
It is acting throughout. I remember for my central audition, for my modern piece, contemporary piece, I did a speech from Seven, the film.
The film?
Yeah, don't do that. Again,
don't
do what I did. Can I do a little shout out?
Go on.
To Open Door.
Open Door?
Yeah, so Open Door are a charity that try and help people who feel like they can't afford to audition for drama school or go to drama school, and they help with like training, and they help with money to get to auditions, because I remember having to come down to London for my central audition. I'd never been down to London like on my own, so I came with my dad. We both bought train tickets, we both ended up staying in a hotel.
Also there's Get Into Theatre, which is a good website. I'll put the links down below. Check me out, I'm a proper blogger. I hope your drama school auditions go well, Patrick.
They give a thumbs up.
What did you think of The Boy in the Dress?
I've not seen it yet.
I have. I loved it. It was really good. My friend Alan sent this question and he's in The Boy in the Dress. But I really, really enjoyed it. It's really fun. And I love a musical. You love a musical though, don't you?
I'm partial. Are you looking at the screen or are you looking at the lens?
The lens, where are you looking?
The screen.
You're looking at yourself.
Yeah.
To be continued.